my step-by-step guide to how to edit architecture photos. Hello, welcome back to my YouTube website. I say back, hopefully you've been here before and you know who I am. If you don't, I'm McEvoy, an architectural and construction photographer based in the UK. I write and talk and practice architectural and construction photography and nothing else. I don't photograph anything else. Anyway, in this week's blog, I wrote the post I've given you the title to now, and I managed to put down 25 things that need to be considered. 25 steps actually. In future blog posts, I am going to write about not only how I got the shot, but the camera settings, the background to it, what I was thinking, what I was trying to create, but I will also go into the actual numbers on the processing of the images. So this video isn't exposure slider to 12, contrast to 25. It's not numbers, it's the process, because I edit in I believe it's a slightly different way. This has evolved in the years since I started using Lightroom, which were 2007 was when I started using Lightroom. Lightroom 1.0. You bought it on a CD, not a DVD. This is before DVDs even. You bought it on a CD, you load it onto your machine, you downloaded a password key, entered it, and that was it. You had Lightroom for about 18 months until they did a new version. Now, of course, pay for a monthly subscription, which I think is well worth the money. No, I'm not being paid to say that. Anyway, let's get into what I want to talk about in this video. So, I import the photos into Lightroom first thing. Not surprisingly, but not everybody uses Lightroom. I use Lightroom for all my processing wherever possible. Photoshop is a bit too complicated for me. My Lightroom catalogue is on an external 4TB hard drive. Lightroom is on my PC, so the PC hard drive is running the software, the data is stored elsewhere. When I import the photos, I also create a backup. Now, I do a duplicate, which I copy over to another external hard drive, and I also do a cloud backup, so I've got these things in 3 places at all times, apart from the time from taking the photos and getting back to my office. When I import the photos into Lightroom, I apply import presets, things that I used to do to every photo manually. It's now done for me, and on a really good day that can be 50% of my processing done if I'm really lucky. Doesn't happen that often. Photos go in a folder in Lightroom. I have a file structure which I will explain in another episode. That comes under the boring but important category. I bracket my photos. I take 3 photos. 1 the correct exposure, 1 2 seconds overexposed, 1 2 seconds underexposed. I merge these together so I have 4 images. I stack them so I have 1, which is just the one that's been created, the new one. Quite like that with the hands then, that was good, wasn't it? I then create subfolders called All and Pics. I then go through the photos, and the photos I'm going to edit I put in the folder called Pics. The photos I'm not going to edit I put in the folder called All. Once they're in the All folder, I will probably never ever look at them again. I've never had to go back to find an extra image that I hadn't issued to a client, because I've always managed to give them the images they want, so that's good. Nice to know I'm doing all the things that I should be. So at some point in the future, I will take the All folder and delete the photos that I haven't edited, because they're just sat there, they're not doing anything, they're not serving any purpose. And if I ever need one, which I never have, I've always got 2 other backups to fall back on. Right then, we're into the imaging now. 4 minutes, 20 seconds, not too bad. First thing I do is I crop the images. So I don't edit one image. This is the one thing I want you to take away from this. On an architectural shoot, I'm probably looking at 20, 30 photos. I don't edit one photo, then the next one, then the next one. I crop the images. I crop the first one, then the second, and keep on going. Next thing, I correct the horizontals and the verticals in the transform panel. And then again, the images, I do them one by one. So after the first 2 steps, I've got the images cropped and corrected. Why do I do that? Because I know exactly what is going to be in the final photo. There's no point editing first and applying fancy things here, there and everywhere. Not that I do. And then getting rid of them when you crop the image out, or there's no point. So this is what I do. I start with the end and edit that. I then work through the panels on all the images, I should have said. So I go through the basic panel on the first image. If I've got 5 similar images, I will copy. Sorry, I'm a bit closer, aren't I? That's better. Give myself a bit of space. Once I've done the first image, if I've got 5 similar images, I will synchronize them or paste the develop settings to all 5 images, and I'll have a look at them. Quite a lot of the time, it's perfect. Sometimes you need a little tweak, which is fine. So you can synchronize photos and apply the settings you've made to the first one to the rest. Then I repeat that process into all the photos until all the photos are edited. And then I go through the other panels in this order. HSL panel. I don't use H, I don't use S, I use L, luminance. You can click on a colour, move your mouse and brighten or darken that colour. It's spectacular and stunning and wonderful. Tone curve panel, adjusting the tones a little bit. I don't tend to do that because I've already got it sorted, so I'm fine. Detail panel. Now, sharpening. I apply sharpening on import because what I found was that I was always applying very similar sharpening to each image, so I do it on import. A word on import and doing all this stuff, I'm applying metadata, develop presets on import, doing a duplicate backup. Now this all takes time, and we're looking at a few hundred images here because I've taken 3 of every one, so it takes time. Lightroom has a lot of work to do. I won't say Lightroom's slow because it's not Lightroom's fault, it's my fault for giving it a lot to do. So I know all these things take time, I know they're going to take time, so what do? Import the photos and go and do something else, and everything's fine. And when I come back, my photos are half processed, backed up to the cloud, and I can get working on them. Happy days. So, detail panel, effects panel, dodging and burning. Term from back in the day, because I'm old enough to have worked in a dark room when you used to have pieces of card where you'd just shade bits of the photo so it didn't get as much light as the other bits. Now we just paint it on with Lightroom. It's so much easier and so much better. Why do we do dodging and burning? Well, I can take a small part of the photo, maybe a detail that I want to accentuate, and I can just paint over it with a bit of dodging, which is brightening. Get the bits around it, I can darken them, and then you've got an increased tonal range in that very specific area. Works really well with pools of light as well. There are so many things you can do with it, it's fantastic. And it's a very old school adjustment. Other local adjustments. There shouldn't be any other local adjustments because I don't do that many, but that's when I do them, after doing all of that lot. And then before I finish, I apply a radial filter. This makes the middle bit of the image, the main part of the image, brighter than the rest of it, which makes it stand out more. On import, I also apply a vignette, a very, very subtle one. See, I'm giving you away all my secrets here, aren't I? If I make my own photos look the way they do. Okay, what's next? I remove stuff in Lightroom. Spot removal tool is not the best in Lightroom. I'm not going to lie to you. Photoshop is much better. But if I don't have to go into Photoshop, I'm happy. If I need to go into Photoshop, it's fine. I'll get on with it. I only use Photoshop to remove things. That is it. Because I don't understand it. Don't tell anybody. Sorry, Adobe. Last thing, to the edited images, I add metadata. Titles, captions, keywords, and then I rename the files. I only do this to the images that I've edited. Because all the other ones, they're not going anywhere. It's going to get deleted in the future, so there's no point. So I just don't bother with them. And then I export the photos as JPEGs for issue to the client. I shoot in RAW. Clients can't open RAW files, but they can open JPEGs. And there we are, we're done. That is how I edit my architecture photos, step-by-step style. Thank you for watching. Check out my website, rickmcavoyphotography.com. Check out the wonderful Photography Explained podcast. Yes, that's mine as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video. I've been Rick McEvoy. Cheers from me.